Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. Two more build up here to the Champions League quarter-final stage, Roma against Barca at the Camp Nou. And in this video we are going to be taking you through both teams, how they're going to set up, how they're going to line up, who is going to be playing, and some big injury news on both sides in the midfield battle. We're going to be going through all that and more. Sit back, relax, the Champions League is coming. So what I'm going to do, first of all, guys, is run through Barcelona's expected 11. I've got three different variations that I want to show you. The first one, which is this one, is the one that I actually want to go with, and for once, the one that I think Valverde will actually go with. And it's pretty much a carbon copy of what we went with against Chelsea. Ter Stegen, Alba, Umtiti, Piqué, Roberto along the back. Those five there, the back four and the goalkeeper, are pretty much set in stone. Sergio Busquets, I'm going to come on to and explain in just a moment about his fitness. Iniesta and Rakitic in midfield as a trio, and then the front three of Luis Suarez, Lionel Messi returning to the starting lineup, and Ousmane Dembele starting once again, just like he did against Chelsea when he scored the crucial goal. On to Busquets though, I do think that he'll start the game. I think he's been working all the time to return for this game. He didn't play against Sevilla, he wasn't going to be risked in that game, but I do think, and everything right now points to Busquets returning to that midfield, which is absolutely colossal. Like I said before, I think we should definitely go with this lineup, and reports in Sport and also Mother Up with Thibaut do point to that lineup potentially being the one that Valverde goes with. These are some other alternatives that Valverde could go with if he decides to be more cautious on the night against Roma, which, to be honest, is something like I'm going to come on to in a minute. I don't think we should go down that road, but if he did want to, he could start Semedo at right back and Roberto at the right of midfield. I like the idea of that in some games, but I just think in this one we need to start with the front three. Dembele needs to be there from the start. We need to really go for Roma, go for the jugular, put a lot of pressure on them, and that goes with three forwards and really going for it there. There's also the alternative that Paulinho starts once again on the right of midfield, just like we saw in that first leg at Stamford Bridge. That is something that I certainly wouldn't do myself. I wouldn't completely rule Valverde out from doing it, but I really hope that he sees sense, doesn't start with Paulinho, and starts, like I say, with that front three, but those are some alternatives just to mull over. And now we move on to Roma's expected 11. It is fully expected they will start with their 4-3-3 formation that they have used right throughout the season so far in Serie A, where they're currently in third position. Alisson for sure is going to start in goal. Their back four is pretty much set as well, with Kolarov left back, Fazio, Manolas at the centre back positions, and also Florenzi there on the right back slot. Their midfield trio will likely be De Rossi, Nainggolan and Strootman. Just like Busquets, Nainggolan is expected to make this game. He was an injury doubt coming into it. He got injured on Saturday against Bologna. He did take part yesterday though in part of the training session, and he strikes me as the kind of guy who will really put himself through the pain barrier and will not want to miss this game. Their front three though is a bit more flexible, potentially Perotti from the left, El Shaarawy from the right, and Dzeko down the middle. That is an absolute certainty. This is something they could do though if they do decide to switch things up and potentially be a lot more cautious. They could go with Perez at right back and actually put Florenzi in a right wing position, but likely those two will double up on that right hand side to maybe stop the threat of Alba. But that midfield trio is going to stay exactly the same. They're very solid in midfield. Nainggolan playing will be a massive bonus for them. Perotti from the left, and Dzeko will lead the line and will be Roma's biggest source of goals. Now I'm going to start first of all by discussing Barcelona's expected team and how we're going to set up, how we're going to play. Then we're going to move on to Roma, and then we're going to do the two together and look at exactly how it's going to pan out when they're both on the field together. But you look at this lineup here, obviously the back four, very solid. Umtiti, Piqué, Roberto, Alba. We're going to have to be a lot better than they was against Sevilla at the weekend. The first time ever that we've conceded 21 shots in a game. But the big man is here. He is the absolute perfect link between midfield and defence. And I think his contribution, even right now, is still underrated. Going forward, he's sensational. He'll give Iniesta, he'll give Rakitic the balls to really hurt teams. He can play between the lines to Lionel Messi. But it's his defensive contribution as well, which is so important. He is the glue that holds everything together in that midfield, and he protects the defence absolutely perfectly. Busquets' inclusion will win this game for us. It is as simple as that. He is as big a player as that for me, and him in that midfield wins that battle for us, and he is so important. But this front three as well is really vital for me, simply because of Ousmane Dembele. We have to start with the three, because for me, we've got to go for Roma. We have to go for this team. We've got to play Suarez there. Messi can drop in, he can find the passes, and against this Roma team, we can cause problems, no doubt about that. For me, there's no need to go into this being cautious, being a little bit scared. There's no need. Roma are third in Serie A. They're a very decent side, but that's exactly what they are to me. They're a very good team, but they're not fantastic. They're not incredible. They don't even have, for me, the same sort of threats that Chelsea do. You think about Hazard, you think about Willian. Going down the wing, they got pace, they got ability. I don't really see that as much with Roma, as we're going to come on to. We shouldn't be scared. We shouldn't be afraid. We need to start the game on the front foot, start as we mean to go on, and that means using these three in the best possible manner and really going for Roma, giving them everything we've got. And now we move on to Roma's expected 11 and exactly how they're going to set up. Obviously, we spoke about the defence, the midfield, how they're going to go forward. There's a bit of variation potentially in that front three, but what they're going to do is they're going to do what every team does. They're going to sit tight, they're going to sit deep, they're going to try and be as compact as they possibly can. I don't see this team, though, as defensively solid, perhaps, as Chelsea are. I think there's certainly room for manoeuvre in these full-back positions. Florenzi likes to go forward, and certainly Kolarov on this left-hand side. When he was at Manchester City, Pep Guardiola in his first season really suffered because of Kolarov's lack of pace at that left-back area. We can definitely get him behind, and that also is why Dembele is so important. I'm going to be coming on to that very, very shortly indeed. But what I want to look at here is their midfield. De Rossi, Nainggolan, who's expected to play, and also Kevin Strootman. That's a really, really impressive midfield, a really good trio, and that's how we have to go with the trio too. We have to match that midfield. We've got to pass around them. We can win that battle, and that is the biggest battle for me because Roma's midfield is a strong one. Nainggolan's a very good player. De Rossi has the experience. Strootman, when fit, is a very, very good player. And attack-wise, I'm not really too scared of that. I think we can handle Dzeko. You can put Piqué, you can put Umtiti on him. I think when you look at Perotti, he's somebody that can chip in with goals, but he's not really exceptionally fast. He's not really somebody who can really hit us on the counter. I think Sergio Roberto should be able to deal with him here on the left-hand side. El Shaarawy, of course, is a bit more pacey. He's a bit of a maverick, isn't he? Sometimes he can be fantastic, sometimes not so good. So Jordi Alba will obviously have to keep tabs on him, but obviously Jordi Alba is massively quick as well. So I think he can more than match El Shaarawy on that right-hand side and make sure that we stop him. But like I say, that midfield battle is the big one for me. De Rossi, Nainggolan, Strootman. And coming up, we're going to be going into exactly how we stop Roma and get past them here. And now we are going to look into the two teams on the pitch together and exactly how it is going to play out. And the main focus here is going to be how Roma are going to stop us, because I think that's the main focus. Obviously we want to stop Roma, but at home the emphasis is on us to go there to get our goals and to set ourselves up nicely for that second leg away from home. And it's all about that midfield, and that is why I think playing a trio is so important. You can see Strootman here, Nainggolan, De Rossi, they're going to be in a trio there, and they're very used to playing with each other. They're all good players, they're technically very good, but more than anything else, that is a physical midfield. De Rossi, you know about him, he's tenacious, he's experienced, he does like a tackle. Nainggolan as well, very ferocious player, and they're a very physical bunch. What is the best way to combat that? It's not physical against physical. I don't want to see Paulinho in there going head to head with Nainggolan. That's not what we need. What we want to do is pass it around them. Simple as that. We can win this game by having the ball in that midfield and winning that battle, and it all starts with this man. Busquets will be receiving the ball from Piqué, from Umtiti here. He'll be receiving it, then he'll be looking for Iniesta and Rakitic. And the important thing as well is doing everything to release Messi into this bit of space here, just behind the midfield line and just in front of the defenders, because Messi in between the lines like that can hurt Roma massively, and that is also why Dembele is so vitally important. He can definitely get at Kolarov, he can definitely get in behind him with his pace, and that's really, really important. Again, we spoke about it with Chelsea. When Dembele can get in there, he can drag across the centre-back, and this time, as opposed to when we played Chelsea, Suarez is only against two centre-backs. Suarez, for me, can certainly take on Manolas, he can certainly take on Fazio, and that'll open up space down the left-hand side. You've got Alba there, and Alba as well will be trying to open up space for Iniesta to run into, but it all starts with that midfield. If we can pass it around Roma, Busquets is so huge in the way that he'll receive the ball, he'll give it, he'll open up spaces, he can play it between the lines, and I think we've got that midfield as long as we play football. We can overcome the physicality and the brute strength of Roma by playing with the ball, keeping the ball, making them chase it. If they haven't got the ball, they cannot hurt us. It is as simple as that, and that is why we play that trio. Just like Roma, Busquets, Iniesta, Rakitic, they're all used to playing with each other in big games, and I think that midfield can overcome Roma and definitely win us this game. But even though we are the big favourites, of course, even though the emphasis is on us to score, it is vitally important, of course, that we do not concede an away goal in this game. It'll make it difficult, especially if we concede first. We don't want to give Roma any incentive whatsoever to sit back and gain encouragement and gain confidence at the Camp Nou. And that means stopping them when they attack. And it all resides around Dzeko. And I think it's actually very simple with Dzeko. He's not somebody who can make runs in behind. He's not somebody who's going to trouble you athletically. So what you do is you put Titi on him, you can Piqué on him. Piqué can certainly match him for height. He can win those battles in the air. But what you've got to watch about then is Roma can play the long ball to Dzeko, and he can get it down to El Shaarawy, to Perotti, and Roberto and Alba have got to be really switched onto that situation. But I think we can certainly stop Roma's front three. There's not a lot of worries about that. The thing for me is all about Nainggolan, about the way that he plays. If he is going to play, which it looks like he will, we have to track his runs, because he is an absolute specialist of making these kind of runs from this midfield area, breaking into the area to latch onto those knockdowns from Dzeko. We have to track him, and I think Rakitic could well be the man to do that. He can follow Nainggolan. We know all about Rakitic's stamina. He's able to run all game, and I think we've got to be really switched on. We cannot afford to let him run off anybody and get space in the box, because even though I don't like him, Nainggolan is a very good player. He can score goals, and he could be a threat, making those late runs from midfield, and we have to make sure that we follow him and make sure that we do not lose our concentration in this game. We are favourites. We should win this game. Make no mistake about it. But Roma are no pushovers. If we're going to win this, we're going to have to turn up. We're going to have to apply ourselves in the best possible way and make sure that we're focused and concentrated for the entire game. But if we do all that, and of course, with a little helping hand from our little genius, Lionel Messi, we should be absolutely fine. So leave your thoughts down below, guys. What do you think of Roma? What do you think of our chances in this game? What starting lineup do you want to see? Which variation is your favourite? Do you want to see us go 4-3-3 with Dembele in that final third? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. After this video, I will have my match preview for Barca against Roma, and boy are we looking forward to it. I'll see you then, but until then, as always, Vasca el Barça!